Courtroom 5A of the Riverside County Courthouse belonged to Judge Helena Mercer. She ruled it with an iron fist, viewing herself as judge, jury, and executioner for those she deemed unworthy. When Marcus Chen, an Asian man in a wrinkled blazer, appeared before her on a minor traffic warrant, she saw only what her prejudice allowed: another criminal. She decided to make an example of him, refusing to listen to reason. She sentenced him to 48 hours in jail for contempt. What Judge Mercer didn't know was that the man she was imprisoning wasn't just an innocent citizen. He was the most powerful attorney in the city and her new superior. Courtroom 5A of the Riverside County Courthouse was more than a room. It was a shrine to Judge Helena Mercer. The mahogany panels, aged by decades of harsh verdicts, gleamed under aggressive fluorescent lighting. The brass partition dividing spectators from the court sparkled with obsessive precision. Even the atmosphere felt manufactured, thick with aged documents, floor polish, and the sharp scent of unchallenged power. At the epicenter sat Judge Mercer. In her mid-60s, Mercer was sculpted from inherited wealth and inflexible principles. Her auburn hair remained perpetually bound in a tight chignon, and her robes, always perfectly pressed, resembled battle armor more than judicial attire. In courthouse corridors, she was known as Helena the Hurricane, a nickname whispered only behind closed doors. She believed in hierarchy and pedigree, and in the purifying force of rapid, ruthless judgment. Her grandmother, Judge Catherine Mercer, had presided from the same bench, and Helena saw herself as a righteous heir to a tradition of eliminating what she perceived as society's decay. Her morning calendar was, in her view, a procession of human weakness: intoxicated drivers, minor thieves, weeping parents, and defiant young adults. She regarded them all with identical frozen contempt. "Next case," she intoned, eyes fixed on her paperwork. "Docket 92C, the State versus Chun. Announcer bailiff, a stocky, long-suffering man named Richard Torres." "Counsel." Mercer's voice cracked like a whip. A young woman with exhaustive features and an inexpensive suit rose. "Emma Rodriguez, Your Honor, from the Public Defender's Office. My client is here regarding a bench warrant for failure to appear on a traffic citation." Failure to appear. Splendid. Mercer finally glanced up, scanning the courtroom. "Well, where is this person?" "Don't inform me he's missed his appearance for missing his appearance." "He's present, Your Honor." "He was detained at the security checkpoint," Rodriguez said, her voice strained. "Detained at security." Naturally. The side door opened and Deputy Torres escorted a man to the defendant's table. He was tall, athletically built, of Asian descent. He wore a charcoal suit, clearly expensive but disheveled, as though he'd been traveling in it. His tie hung loose at his collar. He appeared focused, his expression a mask of controlled irritation. This was Marcus Chen. Judge Mercer stared at him. She didn't simply look, she evaluated. Her eyes absorbed his appearance, his complexion, his slightly unkempt hair, his rumpled suit. Her lip curled minutely, but everyone in the gallery recognized it instantly. It was the look. "So," Mercer said, her voice saturated with condescension, "you are Mr. Chen." Marcus Chen stood tall. "Yes, Your Honor. There appears to be a substantial misunderstanding concerning." Silence. The words sliced through the air. It wasn't a request. It was a command that reverberated off the vaulted ceilings. "You do not speak in my courtroom unless granted permission. You are a defendant. You have an attorney. She will speak for you. Frankly, given your failure to appear, your credibility is already non-existent. Ms. Rodriguez, what possible excuse does your client have for wasting this court's time?" Emma Rodriguez gripped her podium. "Your Honor, Mr. Chen wasn't properly served. The original summons was mailed to an address he vacated over 3 years ago. The citation itself was for a vehicle he sold in 2022. He came here voluntarily this morning to resolve this clerical error when the outstanding warrant, which he was unaware of, was flagged at security." Mercer emitted a sound resembling a laugh. "A clerical error? How convenient. The classic 'it wasn't me' defense. I've heard it countless times." "Your Honor, I have the bill of sale right here," Rodriguez insisted, waving a document. Mercer dismissed it with a wave. I don't care about your paperwork. I care that a warrant was issued and ignored. It demonstrates fundamental disrespect for the law. Your Honor, that's demonstrably false, Marcus said, his voice low and firm. He couldn't restrain himself. Mercer's eyes flashed with genuine fury. Did I authorize you to speak, Mr. Chen? Did I? Or are you one of those individuals who believes his own voice supersedes the rules of this institution? Helena, no, Richard Torres whispered under his breath from his desk. Inaudibly, he'd been staring at the man. He recognized him from a newspaper, but his mind couldn't connect the dots quickly enough. Your Honor, Marcus tried again. I am an officer of court. I was simply attempting to... This was the breaking point for Mercer. You are not an officer of the court, she thundered, slamming her hand on the bench. You are a defendant in my courtroom. How dare you falsely claim to be an attorney? That itself is a criminal offense. Ms. Rodriguez, control your client or I'll hold you both in contempt. Emma Rodriguez looked at Marcus, her eyes wide with panic. She had no idea what he meant, but she knew he'd just sealed his fate. Judge, please, Rodriguez begged. My client simply meant. I know what he meant, Mercer said, her face a mask of frigid rage. He meant to deceive. He meant to intimidate. He meant to play games. And I do not play games. She leaned forward, locking eyes with Marcus. I see you, Mr. Chen. I see you more clearly than you realize. You believe you can swagger in here, disrespect my authority, and walk out. You are mistaken. A suffocating silence descended over Courtroom 5A. The only sound was frantic pen scratching from the press row, where a young reporter named Sarah Mitchell was writing so rapidly her knuckles turned white. Marcus Chen took a slow, deep breath. He'd faced down murderers in interrogation rooms. He'd argued before the Supreme Court. He'd never in his professional life been treated with such naked, unprocessed contempt. His anger was a cold, hard stone in his gut, but he knew showing would be like pouring gasoline on a fire. Your Honor, he said, his voice devoid of all emotion, if you would simply examine the file, or allow me to present my identification. The warrant is for Marcus L. Chen. My name is Marcus James Chen. The birth date is incorrect. He's attempting to play attorney again, Ms. Rodriguez. Mercer's voice rang triumphant, arguing about middle initials. The desperation. I am not interested in your game, sir. This isn't a game, Your Honor, Emma Rodriguez pleaded, her voice breaking. This is simple mistaken identity. He's not even the right person. Judge, please just review the file. I have read enough, Mercer declared. She snapped the file shut. What I have before me is a man who has shown zero respect for this court. He failed to appear. He was detained at security. He has interrupted me, a sitting judge, twice, and he has falsely claimed to be an officer of the court. He is, in short, in contempt. Your Honor, no, Rodriguez cried out. Be silent, Ms. Rodriguez, or you'll be next. Mercer pointed a long, bony finger at Marcus. Mr. Chen, I find your behavior insulting. I find your presence an affront to the dignity of this institution. You need to learn a lesson about respect. She relished this moment. This was why she was here, to bring the arrogant crashing down. I am finding you in summary contempt of court, she announced. And for the original warrant, I am setting bail at $5,000. $5,000? Rodriguez gasped. For a parking citation? But that, Mercer continued, a small cruel smile playing on her lips, can wait. The contempt charge must be served first. I sentence you, Marcus Chen, to 48 hours in the Riverside County Jail, effective immediately. The gallery erupted in gasps. Sarah Mitchell nearly dropped her phone. Your Honor, this is unconscionable, Rodriguez yelled. You cannot do this. It's a gross abuse of power. Deputy Torres, Mercer roared, pointing at Rodriguez. Escort Ms. Rodriguez from my courtroom. She is in contempt as well. And Deputy, take this defendant into custody. I want him processed. I want him in a cell before lunch. Richard Torres rose from his chair. His face was ashen. He'd been a bailiff for 20 years. He knew instinctively that something was terribly wrong. He'd seen the name Chen on the internal memo that morning, the one about the new district attorney. But the memo had said M.J. Chen. This defendant was Marcus Chen. He hadn't connected them. "Your Honor," Torres said, his voice trembling, "perhaps we should take a 5-minute recess to review the file." Mercer's eyes narrowed. "Are you questioning my order, Deputy?" "I gave you a direct order. Arrest that man." Torres swallowed. He put his hand on his service weapon and looked at Marcus Chen, who was watching him. Not with fear, not with anger, with pity. Torres took one step toward the defendant's table. And at that exact moment, the main doors of Courtroom 5A burst open with a crash that shook the walls. All heads snapped back. Standing in the doorway, flanked by 2 stone-faced courthouse marshals, was Judge Samuel Brooks, the presiding judge of the Riverside County Superior Court. Brooks was a tall, broad-shouldered man in his 70s, a former Marine whose judicial temperament was famously patient, but whose wrath was legendary. His eyes scanned the room, his face a mask of fury. "Judge Brooks," Mercer sputtered, rising. "What is the meaning of this? I am in the middle of a sentencing." Judge Brooks ignored her. "Everyone sit down." His voice boomed. He strode down the central aisle, his shoes clicking with sharp precision. He didn't stop at the gallery rail. He unlatched the gate and walked directly to where Marcus Chen stood. "Samuel, what are you doing? That man is a defendant." Brooks turned his head, pinning Mercer with a look of concentrated fury. "You will be silent." He then turned to Marcus. The anger melted, replaced by profound apology. "Mr. Chen," Judge Brooks said, extending his hand, "I am so terribly sorry. There was a complete breakdown in communication. Your new ID badge hadn't been activated. The security team followed protocol for a warrant, but they were supposed to call my office." "It's quite all right, Judge Brooks," Marcus said calmly. "Deputy Torres, release Ms. Rodriguez, and take your hand off your weapon." Torres complied immediately, blushing crimson. "Judge Brooks," Mercer tried again, her voice thin. "I don't understand. This man has a warrant." He was disrespectful. Brooks turned to face the bench, his face etched with disappointment. "He didn't lie, Helena. This man is Marcus James Chen. He is a graduate of Stanford Law School. He is a former U.S. attorney for the Northern District of California. He successfully prosecuted the entire Volkov organized crime syndicate, a case you referenced in a seminar last spring." A collective gasp filled the gallery. Emma Rodriguez's hand flew to her mouth. Mercer's face went chalky white. "The warrant was, as Ms. Rodriguez tried to tell you, a clerical error for a car he sold 3 years ago. A mistake he was coming to clear up before his 10 a.m. meeting." "10 a.m. meeting with whom?" Mercer whispered. "With me, Helena, and the rest of the judiciary." He let the silence hang. "Allow me to properly introduce you. Judge Mercer, meet Chief Prosecutor Marcus Chen. He was unanimously approved by the Governor's Commission last month. As of 9 a.m. this morning, he is the head of the District Attorney's office for this entire county, the office that argues every single case in your courtroom." The world stopped for Judge Helena Mercer. The defendant she had just sentenced to jail was the new chief prosecutor, the single most powerful attorney in the building. No, it's not possible," she stammered. "I did not know." He didn't identify himself. "He tried, Your Honor," Emma Rodriguez said sharply. "He told you he was an officer of the court, and you called him a liar. You wouldn't even look at his paperwork." "We have the transcript," Brooks affirmed. Mercer looked desperately at Marcus. "Mr. Prosecutor Chen, this is a misunderstanding, a simple error." Marcus had not moved. When he finally spoke, his voice carried to every corner. "Your Honor, I believe you were in the middle of sentencing me for contempt." This was a final blow. She had been so blinded by prejudice that she couldn't see the most important legal figure in the county standing before her. Mercer let out a strangled sound and stumbled, catching herself on her chair. "Judge Mercer," Brooks ordered, "you will recess this court. Now!" "Court is recessed," she whispered, banging the gavel weakly. She fled to the side door, her robes flapping like broken wings. The courtroom erupted, Brooks cleared the room, then turned to Marcus. "My chambers, please." In Brooks's office, Marcus spoke quietly. "Judge, with respect, this isn't about me. I'm fine. I have power. This is about the people who look like me, but aren't the new chief prosecutor. What happened to them? She didn't just sentence me. She sentenced a type. She was willing to destroy a life over a parking ticket because of how someone looked." Brooks stared at him, the anger hardening into resolve. He picked up the phone. "Get me Patricia Hayes at the Commission on Judicial Conduct. Code red emergency." He looked at Marcus. "Helena Mercer will never sit on a bench in this state again. Her reign is over today." The hard karma was not swift. It was meticulous and public. By afternoon, Brooks filed a 12-page complaint. Mercer was suspended, her keys and ID surrendered. She was escorted out by the marshals she once commanded. Reporter Sarah Mitchell's story went viral by nightfall. The transcript and courtroom video were released, showing Mercer's dismissive gestures and Marcus's calm. The evidence was damning. The commission hearing was a spectacle. Marcus testified first, somber and precise. "It wasn't her anger that concerned me. It was her certainty. She didn't check the file. She knew what I was based on appearance alone." Emma Rodriguez presented 14 cases showing Mercer's sentencing disparities. Minority defendants receiving sentences 340% higher than average. Bailiff Torres testified about the culture of fear she created. Mercer's attorney, Douglas Palmer, tried to blame Marcus for not identifying himself properly. The commission's counsel destroyed that argument with statistics and pattern evidence. After 3 days of deliberation, Commission Chairman Arthur Price read the verdict. "This commission has found a pattern of behavior that is shocking. Judge Mercer wielded power not as a tool for justice, but as a weapon of personal prejudice. You fail to see a man. You fail to see an attorney. You fail to uphold your fundamental duty to be impartial." He continued, "It is a unanimous decision that Judge Helena Mercer be permanently removed from the bench, effective immediately. Furthermore, she is barred from holding any judicial office for life. Her name will be stricken from the bar. And finally, all state-funded pension and retirement benefits are forfeited." Mercer collapsed, wailing in despair. She had lost everything: her title, her power, her reputation, her future, her legacy. 1 month later, Courtroom 5A was transformed. The oppressive curtains were removed, allowing sunlight to flood in. The intimidating bench was replaced with a lower desk. The new presiding judge, Judge Rivera, brought a spirit of fairness. But the most profound change came from Marcus Chen's office. At a packed press conference, he announced the formation of the Riverside County Conviction Integrity Unit. "Justice in Riverside County has been a matter of luck for too long," he declared. "It has depended on the color of your skin, the quality of your suit. Justice must be a guarantee." The CIU's first task would be reviewing every conviction and contempt ruling from Judge Mercer's courtroom over the past decade. "This is about finding every person sentenced not on evidence, but on bias," Marcus explained. "This isn't a witch hunt. It's a search for facts." He announced Emma Rodriguez would co-chair the review panel. This office will no longer view public defenders as adversaries, but as partners in justice. The real karma wasn't just Mercer's removal. It was a systematic erasure of her toxic legacy. Every cruel decision would be reviewed. Every victim of her prejudice would have a chance at justice. That evening, Marcus stood before the empty space where Mercer's portrait had hung. He felt no triumph, only the weight of work ahead. He thought of the hundreds of files to review, the lives broken, the years stolen. Bailiff Torres approached. "What you're doing, sir, with the new unit, it's the rightest thing I've seen in 20 years. Marcus straightened his tie. "It's just the start, Richard. It's a long way to go." He walked toward his office, his footsteps echoing in the grand space. The sound of a new kind of authority. Not the cruel authority of judgment, but the enduring authority of justice. This story is a stark reminder that prejudice can hide behind powerful symbols. Judge Mercer thought her power made her untouchable. But she forgot one thing. The truth always comes to light. And when it did, the karma wasn't just swift, it was total. She didn't just lose her job. She lost her entire legacy, now being dismantled as a monument to her own bigotry.